I'm going to make an assumption. If you are watching this video, then you want to make more money. Who doesn't? I'm going to make a second assumption. Whenever an ad or person tells you they can show you how to make a six-figure a year income or more, you immediately think they're full of BS. I want to have a real conversation with you. I want to separate fact from fiction, fantasy from reality. I want to show you a path that is real, not smoke and mirrors, no BS. Professional gamblers exist. We know they exist. Casinos call them advantage players. The movie 21 was based on the true story of the MIT blackjack team, which took Vegas for millions. The History Channel had a series called Breaking Vegas, which features players using various methods to gain an advantage. We watch these stories in awe as the people wager more in a single bet than we earn in a month or even a year. The fantasy is as seductive as they come, but can people like you and I really get in on something like this? The answer is yes, but there's a price to pay. Methods of advantage play do indeed exist that you can use to make this fantasy a reality. I'm going to show you several of these methods and tell you why I believe sports arbitrage is the best method available to you. I'm going to show you how to build a six-figure a year income using sports arbitrage in less time than you would spend at a 40-hour-a-week job. This is not a miracle cure or a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a real method based on sound investing principles. Before we get into any methods of advantage play, I need to explain a concept that completely changed my life. Understanding this concept is vital to your success. My journey started with an idea I learned from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki explains that the rich people buy assets and poor people do not. He defines an asset as something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability takes money out of your pocket. He made a simple diagram that demonstrates this concept brilliantly. This diagram was a quantum leap forward for me. If there actually is a secret to getting rich, then this is surely it. Every asset you purchase increases your income. This increased income allows you to purchase more assets. This is the real reason why the rich get richer. Robert drives this point home with his game Cash Flow 101. There is an online version available for free on his website, www.richdad.com. I'm going to spend some considerable time discussing this game. If you can adapt the ideas from this game into your life, you can take control of your finances and ultimately become very wealthy. My ventures into advantage play are a solution to a problem I encountered while playing this game. The main premise of the game is to build enough passive income to escape the rat race. There are various investments you can make in the game: stocks, real estate, or start a small business. These opportunities come up on cards he calls small deals and big deals. To get out of the rat race, you must purchase enough of these opportunities to generate enough income to pay for your total expenses. One of the cards I seek is a real estate card. You must down pay $2,000, and this increases your cash flow by $250 a month. I can turn around and eventually sell this house for a large profit, and then can afford the big deals that allow me to get out of the rat race and win the game. Another card I use to win the game is when a stock comes up for $1 a share. In the game, the companies never go below $1. So when you see the card, you put everything you have into it and wait for it to go up to $30 or $40 a share. Here's the problem I encounter when playing this game, especially with a character like the janitor that has a very small income. Each payday on the board represents 1 month of income. You have to land on an opportunity spot in order to draw an opportunity card. You then must actually draw a good opportunity card before you can buy it. Before you can encounter a large windfall of cash, you must land on the marketplace space and draw the card that allows you to offload the opportunity you picked up for a profit. This can take a very long time. It is very much like real life because you must search to find a good opportunity. If you take the first one that you come across, then you will more than likely end up with a bad deal. You must be at the right place at the right time before you can get a big windfall of cash. The reason I spent so much time talking about this game is that I set out to solve a problem of limited opportunities, not just on the game board, but in real life. What if we thought of sports arbitrage in terms of one of these opportunity cards? How would it stack up against the real estate card or the $1 stock? The answer to this question is pretty astounding. Using 10% as my return on investment as my standard monthly return lets us create an opportunity card for this game using sports arbitrage. The minimum to buy in would be $2,000. You can buy more at any time in any amount after your initial purchase. Once you purchase this asset and continue to reinvest your profits, compound interest will set in. Instead of having to land on an opportunity space and then a market space in hopes of picking up an opportunity that will get you out of the rat race, your income will grow predictably. You could be out of the rat race within 10 passes of the payday space. If we stay within the context of the game, one payday is the equivalent of 1 month. It is possible for someone to get really lucky and draw the right opportunity and market cards and get out in only 2 months, but that rarely ever happens. Most of the time, people are stuck in the rat race for the equivalent of several years. Sports arbitrage can get you out in 10 months predictably and without having to wait for the right opportunity to show up. This makes this opportunity more desirable than the $1 stock or the undervalued piece of real estate. Now let's step out of the game and into real life. If you were to seek out a financial advisor to find the best assets to put your money in, he or she would undoubtedly steer you towards the very worst. This person would try to convince you that 6% a year is a good return and 20% is phenomenal. I'm going to make a statement that many will find shocking, but I make no apologies. If you have less than $10,000 to invest, then you need to invest in assets that produce 100% return on investment a year or better. You will not get those kinds of returns from mutual funds or your 401k plan. Now we are getting real. Isn't 100% too much to expect? Not remotely. To achieve this kind of return, you will need to learn new skills. You will have to think outside of the box. The burning question is, what can I possibly do that would return 100% a year or more? Sports arbitrage is more than capable of such returns. 10% ROI a month is not only achievable, it is a pretty conservative number. If you pursue this aggressively, you can achieve much better. No mutual fund I know of can compete with the kind of returns you can achieve with this. It is possible to find a real estate deal that can compete, but the high leverage can bankrupt you if things go bad. In order to find an investment that can produce 100% ROI a year, you are going to have to think outside of the box. You would be hard-pressed to find anything that can compete with sports arbitrage. Your financial advisor does not have a prayer of competing, as he is just a glorified salesman. If he truly had your best interest at heart, wouldn't he know about opportunities like this? We have now established that sports arbitrage is an extremely powerful investment tool. How does it stack up against other forms of advantage play? There are many forms of advantage play out there. Here are 4 different kinds that I have studied: card counting, dice control, roulette bias, and sports betting. You can learn more about these on my website, www.theultimateguidetochasing.com. Of all these forms of advantage play, sports arbitrage is unique. It is the only form of advantage play where you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you have the advantage as soon as the bet is placed. So why is this a big deal? Because you will not experience the same ups and downs that other advantage players have to endure. Take card counting, for example. When playing blackjack, you must place your bet before the cards are ever dealt. You know the deck is hot if the count is high. But this is not a guarantee that you will win. You bet big because you know the odds are in your favor. But the dealer gets blackjack and you lose. If you count perfectly, then over time you can trust that you will make money, but you will endure losses even when the odds are in your favor. Sports arbitrage is different because the cards are already on the table, so to speak. You are playing one sports book against another and making money no matter how the sporting event turns out. You are not trying to guess who will win. You do not care. Once you have placed your bets, those prices are locked in and you make a profit. Roulette bias, card counting, and dice control all suffer the same dilemma. You will encounter major losing streaks when the odds are in your favor. Your bankroll will suffer huge losses, and during those times, it takes a huge toll on your psychology. You begin to wonder if you're making some kind of mistake. You wonder if you really have an edge or if you've just deluded yourself. You are never sure if you have the edge. You must wait for the results and then see if you're winning or losing. With sports arbitrage, you never have to question if you have the edge. It is the only advantage play I know of where the profit is made before the event takes place. That is why I call it the holy grail of all advantage play. So how does arbitrage work? A sports arbitrage occurs when two or more sports books have different prices available on the same sporting event. When these price discrepancies are large enough, it is possible to balance your bets in such a way that you make money regardless of which team wins. Here is an example of one that occurred in the NHL. In Book A, the Edmonton Oilers are plus 153. This means that you have to bet $100 and you would win $153 if the Oilers won. The Toronto Maple Leafs, you'd have to bet $170 in order to win $100. Now in Book B, the prices are very different. The Edmonton Oilers are plus 120. The Toronto Maple Leafs are negative 140. If you were to bet $404 on the Oilers at plus 153 in the first book, and then $596.24 on the Maple Leafs at negative 140 in the second book, you would make $21.88 regardless of which team wins. This is a 2.19% return on your investment. That may not sound too exciting, but if you had $100,000 on the line, you just made $2,188. Unless you have $100,000 sitting around, you're going to have to build up to that point. Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. I will go into detail on how to utilize compound interest with sports arbitrage in the third video in this series. Becoming a professional arbitrageur is not as easy as setting up some software and placing the bets it tells you to. If life were only that easy. There are some hurdles that you will have to overcome. These hurdles are enough to stop most people dead in their tracks, but if you persevere, it is possible to make a six-figure income using this method. Once proficient, it will take you less time than you spend at your current job. It can be done from anywhere that has an internet connection. In short, you will have a profession that gives you a freedom most people find unimaginable. These were the reasons, the driving force, that made me push through the barriers standing in my way. Do you have what it takes to do this? Only you can decide that. The biggest hurdle for U.S. citizens is that most books needed to perform these arbitrages do not accept U.S. players. This is a major problem, and it kept me out of the game for a very long time. In fact, I was aware of sports arbitrages for 3 years prior to ever being able to perform one because of this obstacle. I eventually figured out a way to get around it, and I am now an active participant in this market. I reveal my secret in the next video.